Hello, Visionaries. Welcome back. I am Leonidas, and this is Nuclearis. We are still in patch 203. Yesterday, or maybe it was the day before. They run together sometimes. We had the announcement of MicroPros teaming up with Ivan, the developer of Nuclearis, to help promote and distribute the game, grow its market and audience, to get more exposure to the game, provide hopefully a few more assets to Ivan the developer to help us improve the game. But so that was an exciting new adventure partnership that's underway. And for those of you who know the MicroPros name, the history of it, this is pretty cool, pretty special. I'll have a link in the upper right corner to that video where I kind of give a rundown of what this means and all that good stuff. Today we are here. I have gathered you here today to do a dial by dial, gauge by gauge, switch by switch video. This was promised a little while ago when I did the 101. Well, the 102? The new 101? I don't know what we're calling it. But the 101 video that I did recently a couple weeks ago, explaining the concepts of how the game works. Well, now I'm just going to go through the Reactor room, control room, and I'm going to go console by console, dial by dial, explain what each thing does and why you might use it, as a way of just a help video, a reference. You can come back and check it. I plan to try and go console by console so that you can use the chapters, and if you have a question or need to go back and reference something, it will be easy to find. I will let you in on, while we're opening this up, I will do chemicals, and then we'll talk about that. Captains. For those of you who are captain level members, first of all, thank you, because your membership really helps me out. And captains, along with hoplites, have early access to all these Nuclearis videos. I released them to them a couple days. Oh, all right. I gotta fix this. Stand by. Okay, there we are. Take two. I had the higher graphics on because for the MicroPros, I talk about it in the video, but the announcement trailer the MicroPros released, they actually had me do all of their footage for them, and I needed to up the graphics for it. But those of you who've been around for a minute know that because my machine is so old, my graphics card only has 3 digits, which is why I rely on you all to generously become members and donate and say thanks. Click that thanks button down at the bottom to try and upgrade my hardware. I do not make a lot of money off of YouTube. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for the love of the game, the love of the developer, the love of the community. But I am trying to, not fry my machine by having the nice graphics. That's why I have to do the ghetto. But getting back to it, all of the videos that I release for Nuclearis and some of the other games, the first couple days after I upload it is available only for early release, only for hoplites and captains. Well, I also make captains only videos, and I have one coming out that's going to preview some of the upcoming changes, a little sneak peek, if you will, spoilers maybe, of the next release that's going to be coming out from the developer for Nuclearis. So if you're interested in that, go over to my YouTube channel. Become a member, captain level. They were the only one. It will never be released publicly. They are the only ones who will get to see it. I have a few others just for them as a special thank you for those who are captains. So now let's get into it. Here we are. Not all of these have dials, buttons, and switches. So some of these consoles I will take more time than others. But let's get into it. And if I forget something, I hope to not do the squirrel thing coming back and forth, but it is new Leonidas video after all. So here we are. This is the drain system panel, and do I like calling it this? I kind of call it the vent panel. We'll just use the name, right? The drain system panel up here. So what this is a series of valve controls, and we have several different kinds of valves and vents and things. So a valve is just something that opens and closes, and not all of them can we control. Some of them are binary. It's either open or close, and that's it. These are all binary, ones and zeros, open or close. These control the solenoids. So there's something in there, and it is modeled in the game, when I hit open, that the little solenoid moves and it slowly turns that valve to open it until it's fully open, and then it'll turn green. And I'll demonstrate that here on the other panel. So whenever I get a green light, that means it's fully open. The solenoid continues to work while it's in that open position until we switch it to off. Back in the day, it was modeled that if you left the solenoid in an open position, it would actually wear it over time. So you didn't want to leave it either open or closed. Same concept. You after you got it to where you wanted it, you could put it in the off position. But you can open it partially because it's not instant. It takes time to open. You can kind of guesstimate. If you wanted it about 50%, well, you just leave it open for, I don't know, if it takes 20 seconds to open fully. After about a 10 count, you just go to off, and it will be open about 50%. But there's no real measure for that in the game currently modeled. So what we're looking at here is you have each of our turbines, and then you have a vent valve. Running over here are each of our turbines, assuming we had all 3 loops going, loop 3 or loop C being our primary, secondary, tertiary. They have pressure in them because they have steam going through them, right? And that's modeled here. This is the amount of torque that's being used, the temperature of the turbine, and then here's the pressure, right? The internal pressure, and this comes from the steam that's delivered to it. Well, in case of an emergency or where you need to spin that turbine down to 0 really quickly, you can open the vent to vent out all that steam. It's pretty rare that you would need it. If you click the turbine trip button over there, which I'll show you later, it will automatically open all 3 of these, regardless of which ones are installed and which ones are not. The downside to this is that the water, liquid water, and steam vapor inside the secondary cooling loop is a closed system. Opening these vents makes it a non-closed system. You are losing some of that water in the form of steam, of vapor, out into the atmosphere. So your overall volume or mass of water, H2O, that you have in that loop will go down as long as these are open. So this is kind of an emergency type situation. Most of the vents, emergency vents and things, are colored red. Just as a heads up, including these. Well, these ones are blue, but yeah, if you go and you look at and see red pipe somewhere, typically that's what it's referring to. So those are for each of the turbines. This one is this kind of tannish color, light gray, whatever you want to call it. This means it's installed, and it is here. These dark gray means that they are not installed, and we'll see that over there as well. Here you have the condenser. If we were to turn on the pump to pump water into the condenser, this would turn green. This is just an indicator light. The pump is there. It's just not turned on right now. I know it defies what I just said about this coloring, but we also see it over here, right? We know that we start out with both of these pumps here. Once I turn them on and then off again, they would have this lighter color. But for now, yeah, so maybe I shouldn't have said anything about the colors, but that's what this is indicating. These just mean it hasn't been turned on yet. These will also fill, I believe, when they have water or steam moving through them. The lines will actually fill and change color. But this is our condenser. You can drain the condenser. If you wanted to remove some of the water that's inside of it from the fill level, you can drain it. A drain is for liquids. A vent is for gases. Steam, usually in our case. So you can drain it, and that's what each of these do, right? So we have the vent valves for turbine 1, which is up here, for 2, and then 3 is here. That guy we'll get to in a second. And then we have the drain condenser valve, which controls this one right here. The core, if you needed to drain the core has a fill level right here. If it was overfilled and you needed to get rid of it, actually, well, no, I believe this is a vent, actually. Yeah, this is the vent. I'm sorry. If there was steam inside of your core, which is a bad thing, you can vent it into the atmosphere. It's going to be toxic. It will also make your primary cooling loop not a closed system anymore, same as these vents for the turbines. So this is a vent, and it vents the core, any steam or air out of it. Typically you'd use that in an emergency situation. I don't know that I've ever actually used it, but there is a time and a place for everything. Then you've got pumps, right, demonstrating for each of the steam generators, and then the steam generators also, they have drains, and then in this case these are drains. If you needed to lower the amount of water that we have filled in our Steam generators, you would do it that way, and I will demonstrate that. It's just a gravity system. There's no real pump. It's just when it's open, it's doing its thing. So if I go to drain, and steam generator and evaporator are synonymous. So if I open number 3, it'll stay yellow while it's in the process of opening. It turns yellow. This is in the process of opening. And if I run over here and look, this number will be going down. Water is actively draining out of it. If we ran outside, whoops, wrong panel, we could see that happening. Once this gets all the way open, this will turn green. These will turn green to indicate they're in a fully open state. There it goes. If I go to off, now the solenoid is off, but it continues to drain. This is green. It's still open, even though it's on off, and I can see that here. It's also draining a lot faster than the last time I ran over because now that aperture, that valve, is all the way open. If I wanted to shut this off, then I need to come here to the drain evaporator and hit close. Okay, it's yellow. It's yellow for partial. And if I look, by each tick it was going down by 100. Now each tick it's going down by less. And each tick will get smaller, smaller, smaller until it just freezes and stops, meaning it's all the way closed. And if I run back over there, we can verify that because closed will be green. And we're there. So now I run over, and I'll have the green light here showing it's closed, red indicating that it's closed, and I can switch the solenoid to off. So that's a demo of how those work. It works the same with vent valves. Yeah, that's pretty much all we need to say about that. So that's the drain system panel if you needed to drain either your evaporator or steam generator, drain your condenser, drain your core, or vent your turbines. This is the spot for you. It also shows status of pumps. Like if I turn on the condenser pump at the freight panel, nope, that's the wrong one. Turn that back off. Thank you. This guy right here, I should see, yeah, okay. So there's the green pump there. And I can run and turn that one off. And if I turn these guys on, yeah, sure, why not? We'll go number 3. And we will turn this guy to, let's just say 5. You'll now notice that this is green. Okay, that is my secondary pump. Notice now that this went from that dark gray to this lighter gray color. Now that it's off, this will do the same thing. Remember, it was dark gray before. It's green because it's on. If I run over and shut it off, it'll turn light gray, indicating that it's off. So, yeah, is it perfect? No, but that's just what it means. It's just an explanation, right, wrong, or otherwise. Moving right along, this guy I refer to a lot, and this guy is also a good reference. I think this is one of the more useful diagrams that we have in the game and in the control room. So this is just the main valve panel, and we'll look at the top portion first, and then we'll look at the corresponding valves below. Here we have the core. Okay, that's our core, our reactor. The pressurizer is connected to it. Then each of these are our loops. We talked about the C loop, the B loop, and the A loop. If you watch my videos, you've seen me talk about this all the time. We have 3 cooling loops inside of each turbine or energy producing loop, however you want to talk about it. We kind of use loop interchangeably for 2 different things. There's this entire loop that we use to generate power and effectuate cooling. But then within that loop, there's also 3 loops, the cooling loops that do their own thing. So this is the primary cooling loop, controlled with the primary pump. And water flows this way. There's a little arrow right there that you can see. And when you turn it on, it pushes water into the core. That water gets heated up when the core is running. It comes out hot this way. It passes through, not dumps into, but through the steam generator, which is this guy here. And then it comes back out as cold water because it's released its heat. It gets pulled by the pump and then pushed to continuous loop. This is the primary cooling circuit, and there are 3 of them, depending on if you have all the loops connected. This is our secondary cooling loop. The pump is here, so it steam from the steam generator comes to the turbine. After the turbine, it gets pulled through the condenser. I won't go into those details now. Then that steam gets cooled and turned into water. It sits in something called the hot well. Condensate is what it's called when it goes from the steam, and it's condensed back into water, cold water. It is now a condensate. Condensate sits in the hot well, and this pump draws water from the hot well, and it pushes it then back to the steam generator. This is your secondary pump. Same as this guy. If I turn that on again, right here, should still be at 5 because where I left it, and I wrote over, you'll now see both of these are green. One here and one here. Okay, to demonstrate the primary pump, right here, right, for loop, the C loop, the primary loop. Again, the C in the first and number 1, and things can get kind of confusing. We'll now see it green there. Okay, hopefully that makes sense.
The reactor core coolant has started to circulate.
Not anymore, it's not. Okay, she's going to tell us now it's not here in a second.
The reactor core
there it
coolant
is.
has stopped circulating.
Okay, and now, right, these light gray where they were dark gray before. If you don't believe me, rewind the video. And then, so this is our primary cooling loop within the primary loop. This is our secondary cooling loop within the secondary loop. And this is our tertiary cooling loop within the primary loop. This one is kind of goes through our condenser out to the cooling towers. Hot water comes out of the condenser, right? Because the unit of heat went from the core to the steam generator. From the steam generator, it was dropped off in the condenser. Now it's that unit of heat has been carried from the condenser to our cooling tower, which then gets vented off into the atmosphere. So this is hot water, cold water. In this secondary cooling loop, it's, well, hot steam. Let's call it hot steam. And then cold water, hot steam, cold water once it passes the condenser. Here, this is hot water, and then it's cold water coming back in to produce its cooling. This, our D1 pump, is our condenser cooling pump, or the really long name of the cooling circuit coolant flow pump. Yeah, that's a mouthful. But if I turn this guy on and put him at 5, you will now see that he's green over here. And remember, he was dark gray before. We've turned him on. Now we turn him off, and he's going to have that light gray from here on out. The only one that doesn't follow that is the turbine. When you turn it on, it'll go green. When you turn it off, it will be red. Red sometimes means damaged, just not for the turbine. Call it a bug, call it a feature. It's just the way it's designed currently, and there's a lot of things to work out, that probably being one of them. But this is the same for each of these loops as well, except for the tertiary loop. The tertiary cooling loop serves, and the condenser serves, all 3 energy producing loops. Otherwise, each loop has its own primary cooling and secondary cooling, but they share the tertiary. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's how our core relates to each of these energy producing and cooling loops. Pressurizer technically is connected to the first one, the primary loop C, but it will still work even if this isn't installed. If you did a new from scratch game and only did loop B or loop A, the pressurizers will still work. So from our core, we have a condensate storage tank. This is a tank that we would use. We can turn on our pump. Here it's called a recirculating pump. Here it's called a feed water pump. I will demonstrate that here. Okay, oh, you got to see it turn green, right? It's green. It is pulling water from this, our CST, which is this guy right here. Different name. Why? I don't know. Primary circuit cooling tank here, and up here it's called the condensate storage tank. Naming is just all over the place. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. This game is just patchworked together. This entire game used to be different than what it is today. If you want to know more about that, check out my live streams. I do talk about a lot of the lore. This game has a lot of lore to it. So, anyhow, that storage tank, right, it pumps water into the core. If you need to fill your core, you do it with the feed water pump. It comes from that storage tank there. If you needed to drain it, and kind of an emergency situation, right, we would open the RCV, the recirculate valve, to drain the core. Again, this one is the vent. This one would vent the steam. This one is the drain that drains the liquid out. And again, it's a gravity feed. If I go to open, well, let me demonstrate this. I'm going to show you that my fill level is now 24.99.6, which is overfilled. You should never have your core that full. that will cause issues. But if I go to open on the RCV, you'll notice that my core is now draining. Okay, so that's what that one does. We'll shut this guy not just off, but remember I need to close it. It'll continue to drain until that goes green. Green means it's fully closed. And you can see that it's partial, and then it should turn red to indicate that it is closed. There it goes. Okay, and why this light's green and that's red, I don't know. Again, just funky systems, funky colors. Okay, so this pulls water from here, this drains it, and then if we needed to, for whatever reason, purge that tank right there, this guy. Oh, it actually lets me do it from all the way across the room. That's neat. Then it would drain it here, and I can demonstrate that, I guess. Well, I don't need to demo everything. Just take my word for it. And this drain is for that guy. This one is for this RCV valve. Now, all these other valves, these pertain to the different loops. A loop, B loop, C loops. Right? A loops, B loops, C loops. And then these are all the valves in the different areas. So these ones mean open, these ones mean closed. A lot of people, what they run into is they will install a second energy producing loop, generator loop, turbine loop, whatever you want to call it. And they need to fill the tanks in here. For example, the new steam generator tank. Well, they turn on the pumps to do that, and then they get these overload or these blocked errors, and pumps take damage. Well, it's because they forgot to open the valves. Likewise, if you have an incomplete loop and open the valves, any water will just leak out. So don't forget, but also open them at the correct times. I've never experienced where there's been, say, some kind of a leak or damage and I've had to close one of the loops. I'm sure one day as nuclear arms goes on and we introduce new things, that will be a thing. But as of right now, in practice, it's really not. But it does exist. And that's what each of these pertain to, right? If I want to close the C1 valve for some reason, I come over to the 1 area, right? Here's the 1s, here's the 2s. I find the C2 valve and I would just hit close. It'll show yellow because it's closing off right now. It'll turn red once that turns green. Once this is indicating fully closed, this will turn red to visually demonstrate that it's fully shut off. Speed up time a little bit here. There we go. Right, so that pertained. And then to open it back up, we just go open and away we go. So that's how each of these work. They just pertain to the different valves you see here on this diagram. Excellent? Excellent. All right, moving on. Containment building. This basically just shows the integrity of the containment building of the reactor. If you have radiation, right, how much radiation there is, internal temperature, things like that, it'll give you another readout of radiation where it's detecting different things. Yeah, never mind. I was going to say something. I don't want to give away spoilers. You'll see how much radiation there is on average over an hour. If you need to, again, I just have to do it out of habit. If there is radiation that needs to be cleaned up, you've cut off the source of the radiation. AO is the one that fixes all that for us. But this is just a readout. It'll give you a warning, a red light here also, if there's any radiation contamination in the building. Service compliance, each of these three here pertain to kind of what's going on over here with meeting demand. And it's just kind of a gee whiz, just a fun little graph to look at. All three of them are, something to look at and monitor. This is a message board, which will give us different messages when we try to do things that we can't. Like if I tried to load fuel,
Shutdown mode.
it'll tell me, right? Error, shutdown mode. It'll list them here, different errors that I have. If I try to open the hatch, right, it'll tell me valid dangerous action. It's not safe to open the hatch. There's water present. So that's just a little readout board. A measure of the fuel temperatures, or the temperature of each of the fuel cores. I only have one fuel core, so only number one will be active. Notice that they pertain to the location, both on the board, this board, that board, and how they are in the actual core out there, which you can't really see, but we could look at the camera here. If I go this. Oh, never mind. It's covered up. Not anymore. We can't see through it anymore. We used to be able to. Used to coulda. Anyway, so that's for temperatures. Thermal control, I found this doesn't work. What this is supposed to do is you're not supposed to be able to take out hot fuel cores, and this was supposed to override it. I have found it to be broken as of patch 203. Instructions on loading and unloading fuel, because people sometimes forget what you need to do. Unload fuel and load fuel either lowers it into the core itself or removes it from the core up to the upper isolation portion of the reactor. So once it's down here, you've broken the seal, it's hot, it's live. If you don't have any control rods, it'll go boom. If it's unloaded, which is what red means right now, it is unloaded. Even if I took out all these control rods, nothing will happen because it is currently unloaded. Loaded and unloaded. Also isolated or unisolated. Same thing. If it's isolated away from the core. Unisolated, it's inserted in. The hatch, this is just the top of the core to be able to drop in a fuel core or remove it. In order to open these, you need to have 50% or less of the pool. I think it's less than 50% of the core pool coolant tank. So, I'm sorry, this guy right here, external core pool. Right, this outer one that we can see here. That's got to be 50% or less, which is measured here. This is, well, now we'll get to that. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Just a couple of the message. Apply to all bays. That's pretty simple right now. It's hard to tell, but this is the one that's selected. These are not selected. If I were to switch to, say, number 5, right, then we see the light switch over there. If I just want to do everything to all of them, I do them there, and then, oh, I thought they all lit up. Maybe not. But this just gives me a warning light that, hey, what you're about to do is going to do it for all bays, not just the one that's selected. And that's basically it there. This guy, just ignore this guy.
Oh, that little guy. I wouldn't worry about that little guy.
This really doesn't mean much. This is just a measure of thermal power versus electrical power. I won't go into the details of what that means. Feel free to Google it. MWE, MWT, which we don't want to use MWT, but and thermal efficiency and thermal factor. Thermal efficiency is going to be very low. It tells you the operating range is 20 to 30%. If you get over 2% in the first 2 days, by golly, good on you. It's not uncommon to be 1% or less, so don't freak out about this. Thermal factor, same thing. You can read about them. They're just not used in the game in a practical sense right now. Same with these readouts. These are just for fun. They have no practical use in the game. Operation mode. Shutdown will allow us to get to a safe state, a secure core. As soon as I switch that to nominal, that little green light I just showed you will turn red.
Nominal mode.
And make a complete liar out of me. Okay, never mind. When you're cooling down your core, trying to shut it down, this will be, I think it's either yellow or red, saying it's not secure. And you're going, wow, why isn't it secure? I can't open hatches because it's saying not secure core. Well, sometimes people forget you got to put this in shutdown mode.
New operating mode established.
Shutdown mode also prevents you from loading fuel, right? If I went back to 1, which is here, try to load it, it'll tell me
Shutdown mode.
you're in shutdown mode. You need to be in nominal, which just means normal or normal running mode, and then it'll let me. Ta-da! Is it going to give me that? There it is. There's my red light. Okay, so it's only when fuel's in there, right? In order to get that light green so I can do fun stuff, I have to go back to shutdown mode. And now it's green. This light is dependent on temperature and mode. So that's those. And, oh, my thermal factor. Oh, it came up, yay, because I inserted fuel. Anything else I want to say about this? Not really. Some consoles have this guy. Just powers it on and off. Makes a cool sound. That's really it. Do it enough times, you're going to blow fuses, things won't come back on, and all that good stuff. Oh, we did see the color change here and here. This is now inserted, so it's green lit up. Yellow means it's in, red or unisolated, loaded, however you want to say it. Red means, which is kind of opposite of what these mean. If this is yellow, it pertains to this. If it's red, it pertains to that. Yeah, kind of goofy, but yeah, I just didn't notice that. So maybe that should be flip-flopped. I missed talking about the operational mode. I'm going to cut this portion out and put it back with the other console just for continuity purposes. The operation mode. Maximum used to change how AO would react. It also changes some of the alarm thresholds and things you can do. That's kind of a legacy system. It no longer really does anything. I leave mine in nominal, never change it, and I'm just fine. It doesn't actually do much of anything these days. Pressurizer. I'm not going to talk about what the pressurizer does. When the thermostat's on, this will just flash. Just going to flash at you. When it's doing its thing, it's fine. No biggie. These are just indicator lights. Same here. Heating power, things like that. This is just the current fill level. 60 is ideal. It's where you want it. You have a duplicate right here. And it will lower sometimes. This is just kind of a running graph showing you any increases or decreases over time. Really hard to see, and the trends are hard to match, so just keep that in mind. You can do it manual heating. Thermostat is just the automatic control of it being on or off. It is still heating up. If you notice, the temperature continues to rise on my water temp. So this is the heating power right now. Being high power is 100%. If I switch it to medium, it goes to 50. If I switch it to low, it drops down to 20. If I shut it off, it should go to 0. There it goes. And then the thermostat just automatically turns it on and off as needed to keep the pressure where we want it. Water temp, saturation temp. This is the theoretical saturation temp of the steam. You'll see it get up to above 400. And I'm not going to talk about saturation temp versus water temp and when to do what, but just know that number right now is fake news. In real life, it can't get above 360-ish. That mark kind of moves a little bit, but yeah, those are just measures, and they're measured on a graph here. This is just another neat little graph that kind of demonstrates the same thing that you're seeing here, just in a different way. This is your pressure gauge. It matches this guy here, the vessel pressure. And again, a line indicating trend over time. The heating power and the relief tank. What do I want to say about them? We won't go into the relief tank because it's not really used, and there's nothing practical about it, and I don't want people to get confused. Warning lights, all these red lights are if there's a warning light. These alarms up here pertain to the fuel. Even though like a stuck fuel block, you would kind of deal with it over here, but because it pertains to fuel, it's over here. You have two high temp alarms, one here and one here. This one pertains to the reactor. This one pertains to the fuel. They do have different thresholds. They do have different settings, things like that. Speaking of thresholds and settings, I missed talking about the operational mode. I'm going to cut this portion out and put it back with the other console just for continuity purposes. Back to the pressurizer now. The valve status for the pressurizer. We vent out the gas. Cooling allows water from the core to circulate in and cool off the pressurizer. I won't talk about when you would need that or what you would do that for, but this is just a visual graphic of it. If we were going to say open the cooling vent or cooling valve, excuse me, right, we get the same yellow for in motion, or partially open, I should say, green for fully open, red for fully closed. Same idea as the other vents and things that we saw. Vents, valves, drains that we saw down there. So that is that. Anything else I want to say about this? Pressurizer, no, that's basically it. Again, warning lights and things. Internal supply, this has to do with the power that you're producing and receiving, as it were. You have up to 2 backup generators. If you start with the plant already ready to go, you have one installed, the other is not. That's why it's in this position. There's no lights. Manual mode. Well, no, let's just start on the left and go forward. Okay, so when you start it up, so if I were to switch this guy to on, it starts blinking that it's starting up. And then when it's on and running, this I believe goes green, and I'll see a certain amount of power that displayed here of how much it's producing, and then what percentage of fuel I'm using per hour to the current load and things like that. This gives me warnings of whether The tank is pressurized or not. More on that somewhere else. Whether it's out of service. This talks about our fuel reserve, right? The tank up on top of the generator the generator building, genset building. How much fuel is actually inside the generator itself. We don't have a second generator, so it's dark. This is how much power we are consuming, essentially. I believe from the batteries. Total energy generated if we were charging or discharging the batteries, by what percentage. It tells you if they're charging, consuming, or off. They're not doing anything right now. And our batteries that are at 100%. Just a nice little visual gauge that kind of... well, this is the change per hour. This is just where they are. I guess it's probably a better way to say it. So, yeah, that is. This guy used to be over here, right here, and I loved it because it has some good information. You can be over here and messing with your turbine. You kind of live in this corner a little bit. You're doing things over here, and you could just look up and see what your core temperature was at. Right, my 24 degrees, but it's been moved over here to make way for more alarm panels. So really, you won't use this because if you're running over to look and see what the temperature is here, well, it's the same as that number. I can't think of a time when I'd look at one and not the other. Oh, generator's running now, so the starting light went out. It's showing green. We're producing 180 kilowatts an hour, and we're using 12% of our fuel per hour. It is pressurized and running and all that, and we see that the fuel is going down. There you go. If I want to shut it off, I go off. Yeah, and you saw how I did that? On to manually start. If you switch it to automatic, whenever you are not producing power at your turbines, it'll automatically kick on. If I switch to automatic, it should kick on for me. There it goes. Even though I am bringing power in from the city, right? The lights are on, things are running. I can turn on pumps and things because I'm getting external power from the city. Currently, this is very cheap. It costs you 10 prestige points per day to use power from the city. If I were to shut these off, do I want to do that? Nah, I don't want to mess with the... Yeah, why not? It's for science. See how quiet it went? Turn everything off. The batteries just kicked on. Now we're showing that our batteries are consuming 1% per hour. This will start going down over time. This is... and here you go. Yeah. Pretty simple. If I turn this back on... It will kind of sort of switch over to this over time. This guy I have to actually switch to... Oh, there it went. It did it. Okay, so it's no longer consuming. And I don't know that it actually charges. I believe you have to turn on the turbines to charge it. It won't charge off of city power, or you can use the backup generators, I believe. This doesn't go away for a little while. This is kind of a bug. This is just a what's the word? Summary of what electricity you're using. Red means you're not meeting it, though. It's a little bit of a bug. It's kind of bugged a little bit. You'll see things that turn red. For example, like sometimes you'll have a pump pop up here all of a sudden. It'll be red. It still works. This is just a kind of a calculation thing. Temperature and weather. These numbers do change throughout the day, right? It's not just 19 degrees C all day. And colder days will lead to colder temperatures in certain things. Hotter days, hotter temperatures. Yes, the atmospheric temperature does affect your reactor in somewhat minor ways. Well, that's pretty much everything over here. Coming to the reactor core, we have a whole bunch of warning lights. And yeah, I won't go over each of the warning lights now. This is the pressure of the core, right? And that pressure is built through using the pressurizer. Inlet and outlet, this is the how much, well, here, I can demonstrate that. Let me turn this guy on. And you'll see these numbers. They should kick on here in a second. There they go. How much water is coming in and how much is going out, those should always match. If you have one higher than the other, then it's either filling or draining, which doesn't usually happen. So, after you turn power on and off, sometimes these lights go away, right? If you just rewind it, these were blank, similar to that, until I activated them, they came on. But, and yeah, it spun down and now it's just zeros. Temperature. This is the water temperature around the core. If all your water boils off or there's a lot of steam in there, you're going to see the temperature go away, or it'll just be wildly up and down, inaccurate. Keep that in mind, that this is the temperature of the water around, well, inside the core. This is the temperature of the fuel. Okay? Just important distinction there. Some warning lights, similar to these guys up here. Operative level, don't worry about that too much. They're just calculations. Green, yellow, red. Yeah. Really, practically, there's not much there that you need. This is the integrity of the core and the control rods. If you get rid of your control or lose your control rods, you kind of lose effectiveness. Core, as your integrity drops, you're going to have radiation leaks and things like that. Water leaks as well. This is for chemicals, xenon, iodine, reactivity, concentration. These are current levels, and then this is over time. Reactivity. This is not actual real reactivity that we read about and hear about and know about from the real world. It's essentially a temperature gauge. I won't get into that too much now. Just know that this is not actual reactivity. Yeah, I'm just leave it at that. Control rod temperature, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Efficiency factor, again, don't worry about it too much. Our efficiency is terrible. We produce 10 megawatts out of a nuclear power reactor, which is mind-bogglingly low. So when Chernobyl exploded, I think they were making, 200, right? They got too low. It was somewhere around, it was still triple digits. So, and we're doing 10. So, yeah, some liberties there. Emergency stop on the reactor, right? To perform an emergency stop, I believe it scrams the control rods, trips the turbines maybe, and I think it opens a vent maybe. I don't remember. It's been a little while since I've done it, but you can do a safe shutdown without it. But it is an emergency thing that's there if you need it. This keypad lets you dial in what setting you want the control rods at. This is your fuel. This is the state of the control rod's motor, and these are each of the control rods. Green means they're healthy. This means each one is the level each one is inserted at. This is the average of all those numbers. This is the average of all the numbers that are present here. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Hold, if you were changing, if I said, I want my control rods, oh no, I actually have my fuel inserted, so I can't do this. If I were to say, I want my fuel rods, or my control rods at 99, and I go, oh wait, no I don't. I would hit hold, there it went, and it would, in theory, stop it. But it's, yeah. It was just too short of a time span to actually stop it. Same as your fuel over here. If you want to control more than one bay at a time, this is to control other banks at a time. Right? Whoop. This means they're active and selected. Okay. Again, the color refers to the status of the motor that you have selected. And then if you want to do all, just overrides them. Right, there we go. Scram drops the rods in. Well, I guess they don't really. Yeah, in ours they drop. So it just kind of releases them essentially to free fall and insert at 100 in an emergency situation. If they're too hot, if they're warped, if they are swollen, if they are broken, if they are non-existent, it won't work. This is the speed at which the control rods move. You can dial it up or down. Different wattages pertain to different control speed percentages. And that's about it for this console. Yeah, but okay. Moving right along, our coolant system. This is our primary pump console. For the primary cooling pump. Again, these are warning lights. And over here, these are also when there's a warning or an alarm system. Core, and so these ones, the moderation level, okay. Moderation level and overall, people put far too much emphasis on those. Oh, I gotta have my moderation at 100%. I need to have my overall 100%. No, you don't. And if you do, it's a bad thing. These are an average of the fluid percentages of your car, or excuse me, of the reactor. It would be like having a gauge in your car and saying, oh, well, I need to get this to 100%, and it measures your windshield wiper fluid, brake fluid, gasoline level, oil, transmission fluid level, engine, all these different fluids, just an average of what each one is. Doesn't give you any information on what's low or why. Maybe you don't want your engine oil topped off, right? Maybe we want it at a mid-level. So trying to run, I see this so often. People questions and, oh, I'm trying to get this to 100%. It's not working. Well, who says it has to be 100%? Why? What are we doing here? Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. Moderation level, overall level, these are just averages of different, fill levels within the reactor. Please don't use them for anything. Don't run your reactor from those gauges. Core fit level, core vessel fill level, pretty straightforward. Pressurizer, again, it's a duplicate of the fill level from over there. That's when you don't want it 100%, for example. The pool, the temperature of the pool fill level, this is infinite. If I drain this will go up to 80 and just keep on going. As this drops, if I needed to, like if it was evaporating off, any water that comes here into here comes from this tank here, this tank fill level. So you need some in there so that it can be, the pool can be filled from that tank. It's actually this one right here, right there. Oh, is it not giving me the description? Ah, bummer. So all this water fits in all there. How? Magic. It's infinite. Yeah, just go with that. Required maintenance and high pressure. Yeah, those they're again not super useful because it's like required maintenance. Well, what requires maintenance? One or more water pumps require maintenance. Well, that's not super helpful. I mean, I guess if you saw this, you'd go, oh, I have a pump damage, but there's lots of other ways to know you have a pump damage. The primary being the red versus the yellow numbers that you have on each of the pumps. So they're there. This guy pertains to this guy. If you want to fill the core, it comes from this tank. If you are going to drain the core, this tank goes up. So, no, is that true? Yeah, I guess technically I think it is. Yes, for these two, yeah, these two relate and these two relate. This guy fills this guy and that guy. More on that later. But these are different tanks. This primary circuit coolant tank is right there. Still no tip, huh? No, okay. All right. Yeah. And then the external coolant reservoir, you take water from outside source, it fills this. This is then distributed to these two and a couple others. But that's where that comes from. The freight panel, or freight pump panel. This is valve status in 1, 2, and 3. They are over here. Well, 2 of them are here, and then one's in the chemical room. Even if you have chemicals off, the valve will still be there, though you shouldn't need it because you're not using chemicals. The green switches, feed water pump fills the core vessel. Condenser pump fills the condenser. The source for the condenser is just the atmosphere. It just pulls water from magic land. There's no tank it pulls from. So you kind of have an infinite supply. I guess technically these ones you do too. You just got to keep them filled because eventually it could run dry. This one won't. Core pool pump. This either pumps water in or out of the pool around the reactor core. Again, primary cooling circuit pumps. You control each one individually, control them all at the same time, turn them on and off. These are just presets, 25, 50, 100%. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. This is just a neat little graphic. It is not designed to do anything other than look pretty, like me. So if you're trying to, again, run your reactor off of this, looking at it and trying to diagnose things or what's going on, don't. It's not designed for that, and it's not going to help you. People go, well, why I see a brown color. Which one's brown? I don't know. It's a dull red maybe, or it's a mix between green and blue, or who knows? They're just made up. So they're also backward. If you insert fuel into core number 2 or put rods in there, it'll show up down here instead of at the top. It used to be rotated this way. It was quote unquote fixed, but it rotated the wrong way. So anyhow, this one I won't go over too much, but this gives you the demand from the city, what you're delivering, compliance information, things like that. The camera system, right? You can turn it on. Ta-da! And then to change it, you just pick your number here. If I want to see the loading station, I go 11 and set. Neat. I do have, you can do multiple cameras. Okay. And then the numbers, if I wanted to change number 4 and I wanted to make it see the fuel room, then I go, what did I say? 4 and then 0. What did I say? Fuel room 6. There it goes. So the camera number first, and then the 2-digit camera there. If you're just doing a single feed, you don't need 2 digits, you only need 1. Ta-da. And let's say I want to look at the turbine room. I just hit 3 because it inserts the other digits for me already. And there it goes. So that's how you use that guy. Access barriers. Oh, this one we can look at. Oops. And let's say we wanted to... Where is provider access? 12. The barriers are these guys. This is your only external security you have here. If I raise the barrier... They go up. It allows the truck in. If I lower it like this, they go down. That's all it is. Acknowledge alarms. If you don't like the red room of doom, then you can hit this. Also silences alarms. If they're blinking, they'll go steady. Typically the yellow lights, the yellow warning lights. And that's about it for, I don't even know what to call this console. The camera compliance console? Sure. Okay. Energy generation console or turbine console or power generator, turbogen. It has lots of names. This is kind of your bread and butter, as it were. You're going to be knowing how you're doing and the energy you're producing from here, whether you're meeting demand, etc. Lots of warning lights. Not going to go over them. Over here, the power and level of demand fulfillment, you don't need... They're just there to look at. This is a total. When you add these up, you get this number. This is what each individual generator is producing. This is what the city's demanding. This is the total of all 3 of these. Okay. This number is this minus whatever your plant is consuming, right? So this minus that is what you're delivering to the city. You want this number and that number to match. Also, you can read them over here, right? The demand, which is this guy, the bus. What you're delivering is the same as that one. A lot of redundancies, a lot of things to look at. Let's just keep going here. RPMs, right? The RPMs of the generators. 3060 is what you're aiming for. Voltage, unless it's damaged, it's always going to be 22001. And that's what it's going to be demanded here. The hertz will always be 50. Amps go up and down based on RPM not RPM, but how much you're producing, things like that. Indicator lights, if your circuit breaker is open or closed, red means open, green means closed. Whether you're in sync or not, if you're in sync at the synchroscope, green, this will also be green. If this is not green, this should not be green. Only close your circuit breaker when you're in sync. This, you only would ever need to use the field excitation if your turbine is damaged and you're not producing the right voltage. right? If you're damaged and you're producing 21,812 and you need to bump that up, then you'd hit raise the voltage. RPM, don't use it unless you're using in order to synchronize. Some people are like, oh, I just got to sit here and mash this until the RPM comes up. It will come up on its own. It's spinning up, right? Like the wheels on your car. So it's only to fine tune it. Once it'll stop. The first time you spin up your turbine for the first time, it'll stop at 3052, and you got to hit this 8 times to get it at 3060, so that you can synchronize it and all that. Okay. Just select which turbine you want to change, right? Whether open and close and things like that. Resistor switches. These are the indicators. White means installed. Green means on. Okay. Dark gray means not installed. You can manually take over. Right now, on automatic mode, that's where most people leave it. It'll just automatically divert the power away the overhead, right? If it's demanding 30 and I'm producing 40, well, I have an excess of 10 that goes to the resistors. They just burn it off into heat. It's a heat sink, and SINK, and it just gets rid of the overage for you. On automatic mode, it will know to divert 10 megawatts away. Otherwise, you got to set it manually. And that's all that is. Compensator, don't use it. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's an old legacy system. It will mess you up. Just don't use it. This is your resistor banks. These are your heat. If they get in the red, they will take damage. This is how much your absorption capacity is. Starting is 90. If I had another one, it would double that. If I've increased the bank or the resistors inside the bank, then that number could be different. If they take damage, it might be less. So, but this is the max capacity. You can be below that capacity and still burn them out. Just know that. I'm not going to talk about it, but just know. This is how much is being diverted away. Yeah, that's not true. It'll tell you anything over this number is being diverted away. And right now it's in automatic mode. If I were to turn it off, that light goes away. So, just keep that in mind. Put that back in automatic mode. It turns off this indicator right here. And then this is just how much you are actually sending to the resistor banks. We'll just leave it at that. Transformers, I'm not going to talk about what they do, but they are important, and you do require them. The starting one, lowest level, can process 150 megawatts. We talked about this one, the voltage, same thing. This will say 22. That's what they're demanding, or what we're delivering for the most part, based on what they're demanding, which is always 22, never changes. If you are, the city can take above or below, 10% above or 10% below what the demand is. They will allow you to overshoot by 10%. Anything more than that, you'll get I call it yellow boxing. This turns yellow. It means your demand's exceeded. Right now, this is lit up because we are disconnected from the power grid. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to, again, go into each of the warning lights. It's kind of pointless. I think that's it for that one. Steam generator. Warning lights, not going to go over them. Just that a steam generator is installed. Nice indicator light. This is the temperature of the water inside the steam generator. Of the water that's coming in and steam going out, this is just the temperature. It should be different, right? The water coming in should be colder than the water going out, because it gets heated up, right? We're boiling water. This is the internal pressure inside each steam generator, and this is the water fill level. People see this go down and they freak out. It's losing water, it's leaking. No, it's not. It's turning into steam, and we don't have a steam mass meter. So don't freak out. Don't chase the numbers. I'm not going to go into that. Just don't chase the colors. If you see it in the yellow, don't freak out. It's in the yellow. If I'm in the green, I'm uncomfortable, just with my gameplay style. So don't freak out. I feel like you have to fill stuff just because it's not in the color that you want, because most of the times when you do that, you will mess things up and it will throw your game off big time. Vents. If your steam generator gets over pressurized and you need to vent, you can. That's where these are here. You can actually see it, the vents. There's 2 of them on the front side of each steam generator. And the third loop is over here, or loop C. Loop A, I'm sorry, third loop. Again, the primary coolant loop is a closed system. This is a closed system, and this is a closed system. If you are opening things like vents or drains that pertain to each of these circuits, you are losing volume. You're losing water, either in the form of steam or water. If you open this, the overall volume of H2O inside your secondary loop is going down because it's just being vented in the atmosphere. Or, well, there's a room, but yeah. This same as the primary pump over there. This controls all 3. Preset 25, 50, and 100. Turns them on. Controls each one individually. This is your balance. The number on the left is the return flow number. This is the amount of water that is being returned to arriving at the steam generator. So this is how much water is coming into the steam generator, which you need because you're turning water into steam and your fill level is going down, but you need more liquid water to be coming in to replace the water that's being turned to steam, or it just dries up and you explode. The middle one is the coolant evaporated, the rate at which liquid water is being turned to gas, steam, vapor. That's the middle one. The right one is how much of that steam is exiting the steam generator. When all 3 of those numbers are the same, you are in thermal balance, or you are balanced, because the amount of water, liquid water coming in is matching the amount of liquid water being turned to steam, which is matching the amount of steam being allowed to exit the steam generator. So when all those 3 are in harmony or in balance, you have a constant system. For me, this middle number bounces up and down a little bit, and this kind of waffles by a few liters, but in a system of 45,000 liters, 1 or 2, 5, 10 liters is not bad. Anything else on that one? You can change the scale, the number scale. If you notice, these numbers are changing. So depending on how much you've got going, you might need to change it. Sometimes the red and green will get stuck and you have to kind of change the scale for it to work. So keep that in mind. Steam outlet, it will match this number here, just in digital form, the one on the right. I'm not going to say what it's used for, but it is an important number. MSCV, main steam control valve. This is important. It's an aperture. It's on the side of your... no, it's not on the side of your steam generator. It's actually way downstream. It's actually next to your turbine, your steam turbine. But it is a valve, and you can control it 1 percentage point at a time. Right now it is all the way open. I can actually see that because my C4 valve, all the 4 valves are the same as the MSCV. If I change this to, say, 50, that one that was green will now turn yellow. Okay, 45. Right, it's now yellow. If I close it all the way, take it to 0, it'll turn to red. I'm going to speed things up to make it more dramatic. Don't look, surprise! Oh, it's red, just like he said. It's almost like I knew what I was talking about. I've had a lot of people argue with me on that before. The C4 valve is not the main steam control valve. Then what is it? Anyway, so there's that. If you want to link them so they all move at the same time, turning that on and then moving one of these will do the same as that. So that's what that's for. And that's all I have to say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Let's see, condenser. Oh boy. This panel, or this console, is a little bit misleading. Warning lights, again, not going to go over. The reason I say it's misleading is because it makes it look like these are 2 separate systems. This is all one thing. The condenser is part of this loop. The water that's sitting, the condensate, the liquid water sitting in the condenser will one day become the liquid water sitting in the steam generator. The steam that leaves the steam generator will one day become the steam inside the condenser. that is then turned into liquid water, and the cycle continues. All of this is one closed system. The only part that's not is this guy, this sole panel right here. Everything else, for the most part, is part of that system. Maybe it's better to say it this way, right here. That's where I'm going to draw the line, right there. Right there. So, yeah. Pump warning lights and things. The condenser fill level. I see a lot of people get frustrated. It's not as bad anymore after when we upgraded from 202 to patch 203. But a lot of people go, oh, I got to feel my condenser level's getting low. I got to fix it. Well, what's wrong with your plant? Well, the condenser level's no. No, I said, what's wrong with it? What do you mean what's wrong with it? What, is anything melting down? Warning lights? Something not working? Well, no. Okay, then why are you adding more water? Well, I don't know, because it's in the red. Look, guys, never mind. I don't want to go off. I'm already in. Don't chase the colors. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. Condenser temperature. It used to be you wanted your temperature as high, as close to 100 as you could get without going over. That is not the case anymore. Now you want it low. We'll leave it there. Pressure and vacuum deal with the pressure and the pressure, the vacuum inside the condenser portion of the secondary cooling loop. In order for things to work properly, you need this at 0.1, which is basically a vacuum. This is just the percentage of suction, more or less, being produced either by the vacuum pump or the steam jet ejector. I have videos on those. I will not go into it right now. Check the upper right corner. If I remember, I'll put a little link to it up there. Extraction flow. This number and this number are related. This is the rate at which water is leaving the condenser, the hot well, going through a pipe and being dumped into the steam generator. When you first turn it on, well, yeah, I can demo this. Sure. Although I had it on earlier, so I don't know if it's actually going to mess things up. If I change it to say 10, you're going to see this number going up. Water is leaving the condenser. My condenser fill level is dropping. But look, this is 0, and this number's not moving. Leonidas, you're a liar. You're a liar.
You liar!
What's happening is the pipes in this game are actually modeled. They're actually functional. So water flows through it at a certain rate. And you need water to get all the way to the end. So the water is being pumped. It's being pulled out of the condenser, which is why that number was rising and this number was going down. We were losing water. It just hadn't yet reached the steam generator. Yeah. So it takes time. People freak out and they're like, oh, I turned it on and nothing's happening. It's not instant. Give it time. Patience. Patience is such a massive thing in this game. And anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Patience, people. Patience. But eventually these numbers should match. If they don't, either you haven't waited the 2 or 3 minutes, or you have a leak or something very not good is going on. Sorry, I just bumped my mic. Middle number, that should be 0. The middle number is the coolant evaporated. If you have water inside your condenser turning back into steam, that's not good. It means it's too hot. This temperature is probably too high. This should always be 0, because the condenser, you want to condense. You want to condense steam, steam water, water gas into liquid water, not the other way around. So that number should always be 0. This guy, the condensate condensate flow rate, this is the rate at which steam is being turned back into liquid water. For all intents and purposes, you can't control it. When it's imbalanced, do I want to say that? If this number's higher, let me back up. This is the rate at which liquid water is leaving the condenser. This is the rate at which liquid water is entering the condenser. By entering, I mean being turned from steam back to liquid water. If the rate of exiting is higher than the rate entering, your fill level goes down, right? More going out than what's coming in, the level goes down. Vice versa. If this number, the rate coming in, is higher than the rate going out, your fill level will rise. If they're balanced, which is what we're aiming for, the fill level essentially freezes, right? It might oscillate between a couple levels, but on a scale of 178,000, no, more than that, because it's times 100. So of a whole lot of liters, 10 or 15 or 100 liters isn't that big of a deal. It will reach it on its own if you leave it alone. To increase or decrease this number, you use the secondary pump. This number will chase it, but it takes time. If you're constantly changing your secondary pump speed every 5 minutes, this will never reach it and your fill level will never balance. This game is about patience and it's about balance, and one depends on the other. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is just the rate at which you are it's the rate at which you're taking the hot water out and returning the cold water. If your condenser's too hot, bump this up. That's the easiest way I can go over that. I am not going to go over the retention tank, vacuum pump, or OMSIs, the mode of steam or the CRV, because I've done videos and talked about it ad nauseum. If you want more information, you can get those there. But this is the retention tank fill level, the mode of steam flow rate, which is broken. Do not pay attention to it. And the retention tank pressure, also not really needed, not very necessary. Turning the vacuum pump on or off, switching between startup mode and operational mode. Startup mode is just overpowered. It consumes more electricity, and it also increases the vacuum at a higher rate. Consumes more of the retention tank, so it's either for starting up or emergencies. Then the SIMSI, OMSI, or CRV. Startup mode of steam inlet valve, operational, or the condensate return valve, which just not to be confused with RCV. A lot of acronyms, don't get it mixed up. This is one of the, I'm not going to go over what it is. You can watch another video. I guess I'll link it up here. This is just a diagram, a very, very rough, semi-accurate diagram of the vacuum system. More on that in other videos. And, oh, can't forget these guys over here. Look, guys, we're almost done. Holy cow, this is kind of a long video. This is just informational. There's no buttons here. There's no dials here. No switches here. No nothing. Our external coolant reservoir is this guy right here. Fortunately, they match. The names match. The water from that guy gets distributed throughout the plant. Cleaning water tank, this is for chemicals. The core pool coolant tank. This is the tank that fills the external core. The primary circuit coolant tank. This is the tank that fills the actual internal core. If you need water in either of these, which would be these guys right here and here, you got to open the M3 valve, M2 valve, and turn on the pump. If they're open and the pump's on, it's just going to push water that's through. You can't. The only way to control which one it goes to is to have one of those valves open. External pump and internal pump. External pump right here fills the external reservoir. The internal pump takes water from the external tank and fills the internals, depending on which M valve you have open. M standing for manual. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And then, like I said, the M1 valve is the one that's inside the chemical room. Yeah, this is just a diagram. Oh, and then this has to do with chemicals. If you are having the truck refill one of your chemical tanks, this is just an indicator of which valves are open and which one's doing it. This one always starts in the off position. You have to manually turn it on. Not to belabor this, but valve statuses, warning lights, boron concentration over time, dose of boron, filtered boron, all over time. These are just fill levels. The concentration inside your core, this one's pretty important, probably the most used over at this area. This is what your current rate is set at. It does build up over time, and eventually every minute that goes up, your concentration will go up by whatever's set here. This is not functional. It is just to look pretty. Eventually it will have a purpose. This is how much of your ion column is left. If you want to know more on that, go see all my videos on chemicals. This reactivity is broken. It does not work. This gauge right here, just ignore it. And well, that's not true. It works. You just don't get any details like you do from over there. This is your filter or the pump to control the rate at which you filter out boron. If you need to remove boron, lower the concentration, you would use this guy. Turning it above like 50%, maybe it's lower, 25%, damages it. So just keep that in mind. These are to connect with the truck. You see these similar controls inside or back in the control room, the chemical control room. I won't talk about that now, but there we are. Phew. How was that? Good, right? Yeah, did pretty good. I think that's mostly about it. All right, I will show one other thing. Let's go upstairs. I'll show a couple things. Time for a field trip. If we exit the control room, use the elevator of death. Yes, the elevator of death. The number one cause of death in the nuclear reactor plant that is Nuclearis, the elevator. I come up here. I have these control switches. Okay, I can isolate which places receive electricity, allowing external power to come in or not. Same with when power is being generated, where it goes to, things like that. So that's what these switches are. I'm not going to go over in great detail, but for example, if I wanted to shut off lights to the second floor, I click that, and it should... It's not working. Why? Oh. Ground floor, first floor. Yeah, I should have turned off this one. Oh well. Maybe they're not working right now. Or it could be in my graphics settings too. But anyway, and then just some readouts. But note that you do have these here. Next, we will go to the... What's it called? Transformer room. These switches, fairly important, especially these ones, as you want to connect or disconnect transformers, whether it's for maintenance or what have you, increase your capacity. This is where you switch them on and off. Never have all of them in the off position. If you're going to switch another one on, switch it on first, right? Give it a second, then switch the other off. Yeah, I just know that from experience. These are the resistor banks. This is basically kind of a cutoff, a way to isolate them. If you wanted manual control, switch it to on. Those switches for the resistor banks in the control room will not work, and you will have to do it manually from here. And connect the resistor bank on and off here. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Bypass. If you are working on it and don't want someone to shut it on and off from the control room, switch the bypass on, and then it enables the local controls here, so someone, if you were playing multiplayer or co-op, someone doesn't zap you. Manual control for the resistor banks, kind of the same thing. Oh, it tells you right here. There you go. Ta-da! Cool. And are there any other switches I want to talk about? No, that's about it. No, it's not. We'll go to the gensets. Here we are at the... It sounds like it's running. Huh. That's weird. Anyway, you can manually start and stop them from here. If you're going to refuel it from the storage tank on the top, you would use this lever here to do so. It'll slowly fill up over time. So those are some switches. If you... And I'm not going to go over how to do everything, but there's about a lever you can throw up there. This is where you go to control connecting to the trunk, right? You've got to the truck, not trunk, truck, and you have a control panel up there. So I think that's about it for switches. I hope this has been useful. Switch by switch, dial by dial, gauge by gauge, console by console. trying to see how it all fits together, what things do. Hopefully this is a good reference for new players. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. Yeah, if you have any other questions or I missed something, I said something wrong, please let me know in the comments. Join my Discord, link in the description. And the reason I invite people to do that is because I used to help out more in the official Nuclearis Discord. The dynamic, the culture there has changed a little bit, and I find it easier to help people in my own. So if you want one-on-one help from me, suggestions, comments, theories, ideas, whatever it is, it's easier to reach me there. On the official Nuclearis Discord, I don't get pinged when people leave messages, whether from me or otherwise, whereas in mine I do. So that is helpful, but we can connect, talk about other things, hobbies, sports, books, movies, airplanes, other video games, all sorts of fun things. If you are interested in seeing these videos before everybody else, become a hoplite or a captain. It helps me out as I'm trying to increase or kind of save up funds to get a better graphics card that's less than 10 years old. And things like that to be able to use those higher quality graphics without my computer absolutely melting. So I thank you to those who already are members. You know who you are. I really appreciate you. And yeah, exciting things to come. Again, captains, I will have a special sneak preview video for you coming out shortly on some upcoming features for the game that only you guys get to see as a thank you for being captain members. But for now, I am Leonidas. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you again soon.